Chosen ones, God is speaking to you right now, urging you to pause, to listen, because something divine is unfolding. Don't move yet. He needs your heart and mind fully open to hear this message. This moment isn't random. It's a sacred call, a whisper from the heavens that carries the weight of your destiny. You're not here by chance. You're a chosen one, marked by God for a purpose so profound it will shift the very fabric of your life. Stay with me, because what's coming will stir your soul and set your path ablaze with divine clarity. Your life has been a series of moments, some heavy, some fleeting, but every single one has led you to this pause. Think about it. The struggles, the doubts, the times you wondered if you were enough. God sees every tear, every quiet prayer, every step you took when the world felt too heavy. He's saying, "Stop for a moment, my child, and listen." This isn't about rushing forward or chasing the next step. It's about standing still and letting His voice guide you. The world pushes you to move, to hustle, to prove yourself, but God's plan doesn't bend to the world's noise. His timing is perfect, and right now, He's asking you to trust it. Pause and feel the weight of this moment. You're not just anyone. You're a soul chosen to carry a light that pierces darkness. God's voice isn't loud like the chaos around you. It's a steady hum, a truth that resonates in your bones. He's preparing you for something extraordinary, but you can't hear it if you're running. That's why He's saying, "Don't move yet." This pause is your preparation, your moment to align with His will. If you feel this stirring in your spirit, I invite you to declare it. Type 777 inches the comments below as a sign you're ready to listen to God's call. That number carries divine energy, a signal to the heavens that you're open to His guidance. God's message to you is clear. Your next step is already written. You don't need to scramble or force doors open. The gates of your destiny are being prepared, but they open in His time, not yours. Think of Noah, standing before a world that mocked him, building an ark when the skies were clear. He didn't rush or doubt, he listened. And when the floods came, his obedience saved him. You're standing at your own ark moment. God's asking you to trust the blueprint He's laid out, even if it doesn't make sense yet. The world may laugh, but your faith will carry you through. This pause isn't about waiting passively, it's about active listening. It's about tuning your heart to the frequency of God's voice. You've been through storms, chosen one. You've faced moments where you felt alone, where the weight of life pressed hard. But those moments weren't meant to break you. They were forging you. Every trial was a fire, refining your spirit, making you unshakable. God saying, "I've seen your strength. Now listen for my direction." Your next chapter isn't about striving. It's about stepping into what He's already prepared. Let's make this real. Hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls walking this path together. Your support amplifies this message, carrying it to others who need to hear God's call. When you engage, you're not just watching, you're standing in agreement with the divine shift happening right now. And if you're feeling the truth of this moment, type 777 inches the comments. Let the heavens know you're listening, ready for what God has in store. Picture a seed buried in the earth. It doesn't fight the soil or claw its way to the Sunday. It rests, trusting the process, until the moment it's called to break through. You're that seed, chosen one. God's planted you in this moment for a reason. The world might tell you to dig yourself out, to force growth. But God says, "Be still." Your breakthrough isn't in your effort, it's in your surrender. When you listen, you allow His hand to shape the soil around you, to bring the rain, to call you into bloom. Your life is a tapestry woven with threads of pain, hope, and purpose. Every struggle you faced, every moment you thought you'd lost your way, was a stitch in God's design. He's not asking you to understand every detail right now. He's asking you to trust the weaver. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." This pause is your moment to know Him, to feel His presence guiding you toward a future brighter than you can imagine. You've carried burdens, chosen one. You've walked paths others couldn't. That weight wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to build you. God's voice is calling you to release what no longer serves you. Let go of the doubts, the fears, the voices that say you're not enough. In this pause, He's renewing your strength, filling you with a peace that surpasses understanding. You're not waiting for permission to move forward, you're waiting for His perfect instruction. Feel the shift happening in your spirit. This isn't just a moment, it's a divine appointment. God's preparing you for a season of overflow, where doors you didn't knock on swing wide open. But to step into that season, you need to hear Him clearly. That's why He's asking you to stop, to listen, to let His words sink deep. If this resonates, type 777 inches the comments. Declare that you're ready to receive His guidance, that you're standing firm in this sacred pause. Think of Moses at the burning bush. The world was moving fast, Egypt's oppression, Israel's cries, but God called him to stop, to listen. That moment of stillness wasn't weakness, it was the birthplace of a nation's freedom. Your pause is just as powerful. It's where God's voice becomes louder than the chaos, where His plan becomes clearer than your fears. You're not standing still because you're stuck. You're standing still because you're chosen. This moment is your burning bush, chosen one. God's voice is the flame, calling you to a purpose bigger than yourself. You might feel the urge to move, to act, to fix things on your own. But God says, wait, listen. His plan is unfolding, and every second you spend in this pause is aligning you with His divine timing. The world can't rush what God has ordained. Your destiny is secure in His hands. Your faith has carried you this far. Remember the times you thought you wouldn't make it, yet here you are. God didn't bring you through those valleys to abandon you now. He's speaking, preparing you for a chapter where lack becomes abundance, where confusion becomes clarity. But to step into that chapter, you need to hear Him. Type 777 inches, the comments if you're ready to trust His voice, to stand in this moment of divine preparation. Every pause in your life has been a setup. The moments you felt delayed, the times doors closed, those weren't denials. They were divine redirects. God was guiding you, even when you couldn't see it. Now, He's asking you to stop and listen, because the next door is about to open. It's not just any door, it's the one that leads to your calling, your purpose, your overflow. Trust that He's preparing you for what's coming. You're not ordinary, chosen one. The world may see you as just another person, but God sees a vessel of His light. That's why He's calling you to pause, to ensure you're ready for the weight of the glory He's about to pour out. This isn't about small plans or temporary fixes. This is about eternal promises, about a life that reflects His power and love. Stay still, listen, and let Him guide your next step. Your heart knows this truth. You've felt it, the pull toward something greater, the sense that you were made for more. God's voice is confirming that now. He's saying, don't move yet, because I'm aligning every detail. Your obedience in this pause is your greatest act of faith. It's you saying, I trust you, God, even when I can't see the full picture. That trust is what sets you apart as His chosen one. Imagine a warrior preparing for battle. They don't rush into the fray without strategy. They pause, they listen to their commander, they ready their spirit. You're that warrior, and God is your commander. This pause is your preparation, your moment to hear his battle plan. The victory is already yours, but you need his instructions to claim it. Stay with me, because this message is unlocking something deep within you. God's promises are not empty. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That future is now, chosen one. But to step into it, you must listen. This pause isn't a delay, it's a divine setup. Every moment you spend hearing his voice is a moment you're being shaped into the person who can carry his promises. You've been through fires that should have consumed you, yet you're still standing. That's not luck, that's God's hand on your life. He's saying, "I've brought you this far, now listen for what's next." Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. This pause is where your faith meets his power, where your obedience unlocks his provision. Don't move yet, let his voice guide you. The world is loud, chosen one, but God's voice is louder. It cuts through the noise, speaking directly to your soul. You're not here to follow the crowd or chase fleeting dreams. You're here to walk a path carved by divine hands. This pause is your moment to realign, to let go of what's held you back, and to step into the fullness of his plan. Trust him, listen, and watch what he does next. Your life is a testimony, even now. Every step you've taken, every battle you've fought, has been preparing you for this moment. God saying, "I've seen your heart. I know your faith. Now listen, because I'm about to move." This pause is sacred. It's where you hear the instructions that will lead you to your promised land. Stay still, chosen one, and let his voice be your guide. You're not alone in this journey. Thousands of chosen ones are walking this path, standing in faith, listening for God's voice. Join them, hit that like button, and subscribe to stand with this community of believers. Your engagement strengthens this message, carrying it to others who need to pause and listen. And if you're ready to declare your faith, type 777 inches the comments. Let the heavens see your heart is open. Think of David before Goliath. The world saw a giant, but David heard God's voice. He didn't rush into battle with fear. He paused, he listened, and he trusted. That's why a stone took down a warrior. Your pause is your stone, chosen one. It's the moment you align with God's power, preparing you to slay the giants in your path. Don't move yet. Let his voice arm you for victory. This isn't about waiting for something to happen, it's about knowing it already has. God's plan is in motion, even now. Your pause is where you connect with his timing, where you step out of the world's chaos and into his peace. You're not stuck, you're being positioned. Every second you spend listening is a second you're being shaped for greatness. Your heart is a sanctuary, chosen one. It's where God's voice finds a home. In this pause, he's speaking to that sacred place, reminding you of who you are. You're not defined by your past, your mistakes, or the world's expectations. You're defined by his call, his love, his purpose. Listen closely, because what he's saying will change everything. God's timing is your greatest ally. The world may rush you, but he never will. This pause is his gift, a moment to breathe, to hear, to prepare. You're not falling behind, you're being set up for a breakthrough. Trust that every delay, every closed door, has been part of his plan to bring you to this moment of divine clarity. You've carried dreams, chosen one, dreams that feel too big, too impossible. But God's saying, Those dreams are mine. Listen, and I'll show you how to walk into them. This pause is where your dreams meet his reality, where your hopes become his promises. Don't move yet, let his voice light the way. Every great leader in history paused before their moment of glory. Abraham waited for Isaac. Joseph waited in prison. Jesus waited in the wilderness. Their pauses weren't punishment, they were preparation. Your pause is the same. God's shaping you, refining you, aligning you with a destiny that will leave the world in awe. Feel the peace settling in your spirit. This pause isn't empty, it's full of God's presence. He's whispering your next steps, revealing the path only you can walk. You're not just a person, you're a purpose, a light, a chosen one. Stay still, listen, and let his voice lead you into the extraordinary. Your life is about to shift, chosen one. The gates of heaven are opening, but God needs you to hear him first. This pause is your moment to connect with his plan, to let his voice drown out the noise. You're not waiting for permission, you're waiting for his perfect direction. Trust him and watch what happens next. You've been through seasons of silence, moments where God seemed far away, but he was never absent. Every quiet moment was him working behind the scenes, setting the stage for what's coming. Now, he's asking you to listen, because the curtain is about to rise. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. The world may see this pause as weakness, but God sees it as strength. It takes courage to stop, to listen, to trust. You're not just standing still, you're standing in faith, declaring that his voice is enough. This moment is your testimony, chosen one, a sign that you're ready for his divine plan. Your heart knows the truth, even when your mind doubts. God's voice is speaking, calling you to a future where lack becomes abundance, where fear becomes faith. This pause is your bridge to that future, your moment to align with his eternal promises. Don't move yet, let him guide you across. Think of Esther, pausing before she approached the king. That moment of stillness wasn't hesitation, it was divine strategy. Her obedience saved a nation. Your pause is just as powerful, chosen one. God's preparing you to step into a moment that will change everything. Listen and be ready. You're not defined by what you've lost or what you've lacked. You're defined by what God's promised, a life of purpose, abundance, and impact. This pause is where you claim that promise, where you hear his voice confirming your calling. Stay still and let his truth reshape your future. God's voice is your compass, chosen one. It's guided you through every storm, every trial, every moment you thought you wouldn't survive. Now, he's asking you to listen again, because the path ahead is greater than anything you've walked before. Trust him, pause, and let his words light your way. This moment is holy. It's not just a pause, it's a divine encounter. God speaking, shaping your destiny with every word. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're chosen. Stay with me, because this message is unlocking the next chapter of your life. Don't move yet. Listen. Your faith has been tested, but it's never failed. Every step you've taken has been a step toward this moment. God saying, I've seen your heart. Now hear my voice. This pause is your preparation for a season of overflow, where his promises become your reality. Be still and know he's God. The world may rush, but you're called to rest in him. This pause is your strength, your moment to hear the Creator's voice. You're not just a person, you're a vessel of his light, chosen for a purpose that will shake the heavens. Listen and let his plan unfold. You've carried burdens, but God's saying, lay them down. Listen to me. This pause is your release, your moment to let go of what's held you back. His voice is calling you to a future where every need is met, every dream fulfilled. Stay still and let him speak. Your life is a miracle in motion, chosen one. Every step, every trial has been leading to this pause. God's voice is clear, his plan perfect. Don't move yet, let his words sink deep, preparing you for a destiny that will leave the world in awe. Listen and be transformed. God's voice is not just a sound, it's a force that reshapes your reality. In this pause, chosen one, you're not just hearing words, you're receiving a divine blueprint. Every whisper from heaven is a piece of the map, guiding you to a future where your purpose shines. The world may demand action, but God demands attention. Your stillness now is your strength, the moment you let his plan take root in your soul. You've walked through valleys where shadows loomed large. Those moments tested your resolve, but they also revealed your calling. God saying, I saw you stand when others fell. Now listen for what's next. This pause is your sacred space, where his voice carves out a path only you can walk. It's not about rushing forward, it's about stepping into alignment with his eternal design. Think of Elijah, alone in the wilderness, waiting for God's voice. The wind roared, the earth quaked, the fire blazed, but God wasn't in the chaos. He spoke in a gentle whisper. Your pause is that whisper, chosen one. It's where the noise of the world fades, and his truth becomes your anchor. Stay still and let his voice guide you to the next mountain. Your heart is a canvas, and God's painting a masterpiece. Every trial you've faced, every moment of doubt, was a brushstroke in his design. Now, in this pause, he's adding the colors of purpose, clarity, and power. You're not just waiting, you're being transformed. His voice is the brush, shaping you into a living testimony of his grace. The world may see stillness as weakness, but God sees it as worship. Your pause is an act of faith, a declaration that his voice is enough. You're not standing still because you're lost, you're standing still because you're found. This moment is where his promises take root, where your destiny begins to bloom. You've carried dreams that felt too heavy, too distant, but God's saying, those dreams are mine. Listen, and I'll make them real. This pause is where your hopes meet his power, where the impossible becomes your reality. Don't move yet. Let his voice turn your dreams into stepping stones for your purpose. Imagine a river, steady and strong, carving its path through stone. That's God's voice in your life, chosen one. It doesn't rush, but it never stops. In this pause, you're standing at the river's edge, letting its current guide you. His words are the water, shaping your path, leading you to a future of abundance. Your life is a story of resilience. Every time you thought you'd break, God held you together. Now, he's asking you to listen because the next chapter is greater than anything you've known. This pause is your turning point, where his voice rewrites your story with hope, power, and victory. The world pushes you to prove yourself, but God says, you're already mine. In this pause, you're not earning his favor, you're receiving it. His voice is reminding you who you are, a chosen one, marked for greatness, destined to shine. Stay still and let his truth anchor your soul. Think of Mary, pausing at the angel's words. The world would have called her ordinary, but God called her chosen. Her stillness, her listening, birthed a miracle. Your pause is just as sacred, chosen one. It's where God's voice plants seeds of miracles that will change your life and the world around you. You've faced moments where the path seemed unclear, where every step felt heavy. But God's saying, I've been with you all along. Now listen for my next step. This pause is your clarity, your moment to hear the instructions that will lead you to your promised land. Trust him and stay still. Your faith is a fire, burning brighter with every trial. In this pause, God's voice is the fuel, igniting your purpose with divine clarity. You're not just waiting, you're being prepared for a season where his promises overflow, where your life becomes a beacon of his power. The world may try to drown out his voice with noise, doubt, fear, distraction, but God's whisper cuts through it all. This pause is your shield, protecting you from the chaos, letting you hear the one who holds your future. Stay still, chosen one, and let his truth guide you. You're not defined by what you've lost or what you've lacked. You're defined by what God's promised, a life of purpose, abundance, and impact. This pause is where you claim that promise, where you hear his voice confirming your calling. Don't move yet. Let his truth reshape your future. Imagine a lighthouse, standing firm against the storm. That's you, chosen one, in this pause. The waves of life may crash, but God's voice is your foundation, keeping you steady. His words are the light, guiding you through the darkness, leading you to a harbor of peace. Your life is a symphony, and God's the conductor. Every note, every joy, every pain has been part of his composition. Now, in this pause, he's tuning your heart to hear the melody of your destiny. Stay still and let his voice lead you into the crescendo of his plan. You've walked paths others couldn't, carried burdens others wouldn't. That's why God's calling you to pause, to listen. This moment is your preparation for a season where his glory shines through you. Don't rush. Let his voice align you with a purpose that will shake the heavens. The world may see a pause as delay, but God sees it as divine timing. Every moment you spend listening is a moment you're being shaped for greatness. You're not just a person, you're a vessel of his light, chosen to carry his promises. Stay still and let him speak. Your heart is a garden, chosen one. God's voice is the rain, nourishing the seeds of purpose he's planted. In this pause, he's tending to your soul, preparing you for a harvest of abundance. Don't move yet. Let his words bring your dreams to life. Think of Peter stepping out onto the water. The storm raged, but Jesus' voice called him forward. Your pause is your water moment, chosen one. God's voice is calling you to trust, to listen, to step into the impossible. Stay still and let his words guide your steps. You've been through seasons of silence, moments where God seemed far, but he was always near, working in the quiet. Now, he's asking you to listen because the silence is breaking. This pause is where his voice becomes your strength, leading you to a future of overflow. Your faith has been your anchor, holding you steady through every storm. In this pause, God's voice is your compass, pointing you to the path he's prepared. You're not waiting for permission, you're waiting for his perfect direction. Stay still and let him lead. The world may rush you, but God's timing is flawless. This pause is his gift, a moment to hear the Creator's voice. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, destined for a purpose that will leave the world in awe. Listen and let his plan unfold. You've carried dreams that felt too big, too impossible, but God's saying, those dreams are mine. Listen, and I'll show you the way. This pause is where your hopes become his reality, where your faith meets his power. Don't move yet. Let his voice light the path. Every trial you've faced has been a step toward this moment. God's saying, I've seen your heart. Now hear my voice. This pause is your preparation for a season where his promises become your reality. Be still and know he's shaping your destiny. The world may see stillness as stagnation, but God sees it as surrender. Your pause is an act of worship, a declaration that His voice is enough. You're not stuck. You're being positioned for a breakthrough that will change everything. Listen and be ready. Your life is a testimony, even now. Every step, every battle has been leading to this pause. God's voice is clear, His plan perfect. Don't move yet. Let His words sink deep, preparing you for a destiny that will leave the world in awe. Stay still and listen. God's voice is a melody that resonates in the deepest parts of your soul. Chosen one. In this pause, you're not just hearing words, you're catching the rhythm of your destiny. The world may clamor for your attention, but His whisper carries the power to shift your entire existence. Stay still, because this moment is where He's tuning your heart to the frequency of His divine plan. You've walked through seasons where the path seemed jagged, where every step felt like a climb. Those moments weren't meant to stop you. They were meant to strengthen you. God saying, I've seen your resilience. Now listen for my guidance. This pause is your sanctuary, a sacred space where His voice clears the fog, revealing the road to your purpose. Picture a sculptor chiseling away at stone. Each strike shapes the raw material into something beautiful. You're that stone, chosen one, and God's voice is the chisel. In this pause, He's refining you, carving out the doubts and fears to reveal the masterpiece He's always seen. Don't move yet. Let His hand shape your future. Your life is a journey of faith, marked by moments where you chose trust over fear. Now, God's asking you to pause, because the next step is holy. His voice is preparing you for a season where His promises unfold like never before. Stay still and let His words anchor you in His unshakable truth. The world may measure success by motion, but God measures it by obedience. This pause is your act of surrender, a testament that you trust His plan over your own. You're not idle. You're aligned, standing ready to receive the instructions that will lead you to greatness. You've carried questions, chosen one, wondering why certain doors stayed closed, why certain dreams felt delayed. God's voice is answering now, saying, I've been preparing you. This pause is where His clarity meets your faith, turning your questions into revelations. Listen and let His truth guide you. Imagine a compass, steady in the storm, pointing true north. That's God's voice in your life. The world may spin with chaos, but His words keep you grounded, guiding you toward a destiny of purpose and power. In this pause, you're finding your north, aligning with His eternal direction. Your heart is a flame, burning with the fire of God's calling. Every trial you've faced has only made it brighter. Now, in this pause, His voice is the wind that fans that flame, igniting your purpose with divine clarity. Stay still and let His words fuel your light. The world may tempt you to rush, to act without thought, but God's saying, listen first. This pause is your strength, your moment to hear the one who holds your future. You're not just a person, you're a vessel of His glory, chosen to shine in a world of shadows. Think of Hannah, pouring out her heart in silent prayer. Her pause wasn't weakness, it was worship. Her listening led to Samuel, a prophet who changed a nation. Your pause is just as powerful, chosen one. God's voice is planting seeds of miracles that will ripple through generations. You've faced moments where the world tried to dim your light, but you're still here, shining brighter than ever. God saying, I've seen your faith. Now hear my voice. This pause is where His promises take root, where your destiny begins to unfold. Stay still and listen closely. Your life is a mosaic, each piece a moment of struggle, joy, or faith. In this pause, God's voice is arranging those pieces, revealing a picture of purpose and power. You're not waiting, you're being prepared for a masterpiece that will leave the world in awe. The noise of the world can drown out truth, but God's voice rises above it all. This pause is your refuge, where His words become your strength, your guide, your peace. You're not lost. You're being led by the one who knows your path from beginning to end. You've carried burdens that should have broken you, but God's hand held you up. Now, He's saying, let go and listen. This pause is your release, your moment to trade heaviness for His promises. Stay still, chosen one, and let His voice renew your spirit. Imagine a sunrise breaking through the darkest night. That's God's voice in your life, bringing light to every shadow. In this pause, you're standing at the edge of dawn, ready to step into a new day of purpose and power. Don't move yet. Let His light guide you. Your faith has been your shield, protecting you through every battle. Now, God's voice is your sword, cutting through doubt and fear. This pause is where you sharpen that sword, preparing for a victory only He can give. Stay still and let His words arm you. The world may see a pause as hesitation, but God sees it as trust. You're not standing still because you're afraid, you're standing still because you're chosen. This moment is where His voice aligns you with a destiny that will shake the heavens and earth. You've walked through seasons of drought, yet your spirit never withered. God's saying, I've seen your roots go deep, now listen for my rain. This pause is where His voice waters your soul, preparing you for a season of overflow. Stay still and receive His provision. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. The world expected his end, but he paused, he prayed, he listened. That stillness saved him. Your pause is your den, chosen one, where God's voice turns danger into deliverance. Don't move yet, let His words be your strength. Your life is a testament to His faithfulness. Every step, every trial has been a step toward this moment. God saying, I've carried you this far. Now, hear my voice. This pause is your preparation for a chapter where His glory shines through you. The world may push you to act, but God's calling you to listen. This pause is your power, your moment to hear the Creator's voice. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, destined to walk a path of purpose and impact. Stay still and let Him lead. You've carried dreams that felt too big for this world. God's saying, those dreams are mine. Listen, and I'll show you the way. This pause is where your faith meets His plan, where your hopes become His reality. Don't move yet, let His voice light the path. Your heart is a temple, chosen one, where God's voice dwells. In this pause, He's speaking to that sacred place, reminding you of your calling. You're not defined by your past, you're defined by His promises. Stay still and let His truth reshape your future. Imagine a key, crafted for a lock only God can open. That's His voice in your life, unlocking doors to a destiny you were born for. This pause is where you receive that key, where His words prepare you to step through. Don't rush, let Him guide your hand. You've faced storms that should have swept you away, but God's voice was your anchor. Now He's saying, listen, because the calm is coming. This pause is your moment to hear His promise of peace, to prepare for a season where His power shines through you. The world may see stillness as falling behind, but God sees it as stepping into His timing. Your pause is your alignment, your moment to hear the one who holds your future. You're not waiting, you're being positioned for a breakthrough that will change everything. Your life is a riverbed, and God's voice is the water, carving a path of purpose through your soul. In this pause, He's shaping you, preparing you for a flow of blessings that will overflow. Stay still, chosen one, and let His words guide the current. Think of Jonah, pausing in the belly of the whale. That moment of stillness wasn't punishment, it was redirection. Your pause is the same, a divine moment where God's voice turns you toward your true calling. Don't move yet, listen, and let Him lead. You've carried scars, but they're not marks of defeat, they're signs of victory. God's saying, I've seen your battles. Now hear my voice. This pause is where His words heal, where His promises restore. Stay still, and let His truth make you whole. Your faith is a seed, planted in the soil of trials. In this pause, God's voice is the sunlight, calling it to grow. You're not just waiting, you're being prepared for a harvest of purpose and power. Don't move yet. Let His words bring you to life. The world may demand answers, but God offers truth. This pause is your moment to hear that truth, to let His voice drown out the noise. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, called to shine in a world of shadows. Stay still and let Him guide. You've walked through nights that felt endless, but God's voice was your dawn. Now, He's saying, listen, because the day is breaking. This pause is your preparation for a season where His light shines through you, illuminating your path to greatness. Your heart is a compass, and God's voice is true north. In this pause, He's paused, aligning you with His eternal plan, guiding you to a future where every step is sure. Don't rush, chosen one, let His words be your guide, and watch His promises unfold. God's voice is a beacon, piercing through the fog of your journey, chosen one. In this pause, you're not just stopping, you're anchoring yourself in His divine light. The world may swirl with chaos, but His words are steady, calling you to a purpose that outshines every storm. Stay still, because this moment is where He's illuminating the path to your destiny. You've walked through moments where the weight of life pressed hard, where hope felt like a flicker. Yet, here you stand, unbroken, God saying, I've seen your endurance. Now listen for my voice. This pause is your haven, where His truth becomes your strength, guiding you toward a future of unshakable faith. Imagine a tree, rooted deep, unmoved by the fiercest winds. That's you in this pause, chosen one. God's voice is the soil, nourishing your roots, preparing you to stand tall in the season ahead. You're not idle, you're growing stronger, ready to bear the fruit of His promises. Your life is a canvas of divine intention. Every step, every struggle has been a stroke of His design. In this pause, His voice is the brush, adding clarity, color, and purpose. Stay still and let Him paint the next chapter of your story with His eternal vision. The world may see stillness as a pause in progress, but God sees it as a sacred preparation. You're not waiting for something to happen, you're being shaped for what's already yours. His voice is aligning your heart with a destiny that will echo through generations. You've carried dreams that seemed too vast, too heavy for this world. God saying, those dreams are my gift to you. Listen, and I'll show you how to carry them. This pause is where His voice turns your vision into reality. Step by sacred step. Picture a flame, steady in the darkness, unquenched by the wind. That's God's voice in your life, chosen one. In this pause, it's burning away doubt, illuminating your path with divine certainty. Don't move yet. Let His light guide you to a future of power and purpose. Your faith has been your compass through every trial, pointing you to truth when the world offered lies. Now, God's voice is recalibrating that compass, ensuring every step aligns with His plan. Stay still, and let his words direct you to a life of overflow. The world may urge you to rush, to prove your worth through action. But God says, your worth is in me. Listen first. This pause is your declaration of trust, a moment where his voice becomes louder than the noise. You're chosen for greatness. Stay still and hear him. Think of Ruth pausing in a foreign land, trusting God's unseen plan. Her stillness wasn't weakness, it was faith, leading her to a legacy of redemption. Your pause is just as powerful, chosen one. God's voice is guiding you to a destiny that will transform lives. You've faced moments where the path felt hidden, where every choice seemed uncertain. God saying, I've been your guide all along. Now listen. This pause is your clarity, where his voice reveals the steps to a future brighter than you've ever dreamed. Your heart is a vessel, filled with the promises of God. In this pause, his voice is pouring in new strength, new hope, new purpose. You're not just waiting, you're being equipped for a season where his glory shines through every part of your life. The noise of the world can drown out truth, but God's voice rises above it. This pause is your shield, protecting you from distraction, letting you hear the one who holds your future. Stay still, chosen one, and let his words anchor you in his plan. You've carried scars from battles fought and won. God saying, those scars are my story in you. Now listen for what's next. This pause is where his voice heals, where his promises restore, preparing you for a chapter of victory and peace. Imagine a river flowing with purpose, unstoppable in its course. That's God's voice in your life, carving a path through every obstacle. In this pause, you're standing at its banks, ready to be carried by his current to a destiny of abundance. Your faith has been your foundation, holding you steady through every storm. Now, God's voice is building on that foundation, raising a structure of purpose and power. Stay still and let his words shape you into a living testament of his love. The world may call a pause a delay, but God calls it divine timing. You're not falling behind, you're being positioned for a breakthrough. This moment is where his voice aligns you with a purpose that will shake the heavens and earth. You've walked through seasons of silence, where God's presence felt distant, but he was always there, working in the quiet. Now, his voice is breaking through, calling you to listen. This pause is your preparation for a season where his promises overflow. Think of Gideon, pausing before battle, unsure of his strength. God's voice gave him courage, turning a small army into a mighty force. Your pause is your moment of courage, chosen one. Stay still and let his words equip you for victory. Your life is a tapestry, woven with threads of faith, struggle, and grace. In this pause, God's voice is the needle, stitching together a story of redemption and power. You're not waiting, you're being crafted into a masterpiece of his design. The world may push you to act, but God's calling you to hear. This pause is your strength, your moment to connect with the Creator's voice. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, destined to walk a path of divine purpose. You've carried hopes that felt too fragile, too impossible. God saying, those hopes are my promises. Listen, and I'll make them real. This pause is where his voice turns your dreams into stepping stones, leading you to a future of impact. Imagine a star, hidden by clouds, yet burning with unyielding light. That's you in this pause, chosen one. God's voice is clearing the skies, revealing your brilliance. Don't move yet, let his words shine through you, lighting the way to greatness. Your faith has been your shield, guarding you through every trial. Now, God's voice is your sword, cutting through fear and doubt. This pause is where you sharpen that sword, preparing for a battle already won in His name. The world may see stillness as weakness, but God sees it as worship. Your pause is an act of faith, a declaration that His voice is enough. You're not stuck, you're being prepared for a destiny that will leave the world in awe. You've walked through fires that should have consumed you, yet you're still here, stronger than ever. God's saying, I've seen your heart, now hear my voice. This pause is where His promises take root, where your life becomes a beacon of His power. Your heart is a garden, and God's voice is the rain, nourishing every seed of purpose He's planted. In this pause, He's tending to your soul, preparing you for a harvest of blessings. Stay still, and let His words bring your destiny to life. Think of Paul, pausing in blindness on the road to Damascus. That moment of stillness wasn't punishment, it was transformation. Your pause is the same, chosen one. God's voice is opening your eyes to a purpose that will change everything. You've carried burdens that felt too heavy, but God's saying, lay them down. Listen to me. This pause is your release, your moment to trade struggle for His peace. Stay still and let His voice renew your strength for the journey ahead. Your life is a symphony, and God's voice is the conductor, guiding every note. In this pause, He's tuning your heart to His melody, preparing you for a crescendo of purpose and power. Don't move, yet let His words lead you into harmony. The world may demand speed, but God demands trust. This pause is your moment to hear the one who holds your future. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, called to shine in a world of shadows. Stay still and let His voice guide you. You faced moments where the path seemed lost, but God's voice was always there, whispering direction. Now, He's calling you to listen closer, because the next step is sacred. This pause is your preparation for a season where His glory shines through you. God's voice is a current flowing through the depths of your spirit. Chosen one, in this pause, you're not just standing still, you're being carried by His divine stream. The world may pull you in every direction, but His words anchor you, guiding you toward a destiny woven with purpose. Stay still, because this moment is where He's shaping your course with eternal precision. You've walked through seasons where the ground felt unsteady, where every step tested your faith. Those moments weren't meant to shake you, they were meant to root you. God's saying, I've seen your strength, now listen for my path. This pause is your foundation, where His voice builds a future that stands firm against any storm. Picture a clock, its hands paused before the hour strikes. That's you in this moment, chosen one. God's voice is the mechanism, aligning every second to His perfect timing. You're not delayed, you're being prepared for a divine moment that will resonate through your life. Your life is a book, each chapter written by His hand. Every trial, every victory has been a page in His story for you. In this pause, His voice is turning the page, revealing a chapter of purpose and power. Stay still and let His words write your next lines. The world may see a pause as a gap, but God sees it as a bridge. You're not stuck, you're crossing into a new season, guided by His voice. This moment is where His truth connects your past to a future filled with His promises. Listen and step forward in faith. You've carried dreams that felt like whispers in the dark, too fragile to hold. God's saying, those whispers are my voice. Listen, and I'll make them loud. This pause is where His words amplify your dreams, turning them into realities that echo His glory. Imagine a flame in a lantern, glowing steady through the night. That's God's voice in your life, chosen one. In this pause, it's lighting your way, casting out shadows of doubt. Don't move yet. Let his light reveal the path to a destiny of unshakable purpose. Your faith has been your anchor, holding you through waves of uncertainty. Now, God's voice is your sail, catching the wind of his plan. This pause is where you set sail, ready to move with his direction toward a horizon of abundance and impact. The world may push you to fill the silence with noise, but God says, "Hear me first." This pause is your sanctuary, where his voice becomes your strength, your guide, your peace. You're chosen to shine. Stay still and let his words prepare you. Think of Abraham, pausing under the stars, hearing God's promise of a nation. His stillness wasn't doubt, it was trust. Your pause is just as sacred, chosen one. God's voice is speaking promises that will birth miracles through your life. Listen and believe. You faced moments where the world tried to define you, but God's saying, "I've called you mine. Listen to my truth." This pause is where his voice redefines you, stripping away lies and clothing you in his purpose. Stay still and let him speak. Your heart is a mirror, reflecting his glory. In this pause, God's voice is polishing that mirror, making it shine brighter than ever. You're not just waiting, you're being prepared to reflect his light in a world desperate for hope. The chaos of the world can cloud your vision, but God's voice brings clarity. This pause is your lens, focusing his truth, showing you the path he's carved. You're not lost. You're being led by the one who knows every step of your journey. You've carried wounds, but they've become your strength. God's saying, "I've seen your healing. Now hear my voice." This pause is where his words mend your spirit, preparing you for a season where his power flows through you like never before. Imagine a seed breaking through the earth, reaching for the Sunday. That's you in this pause, chosen one. God's voice is the warmth, calling you to rise. You're not buried, you're breaking free, ready to grow into the fullness of his plan. Your faith has been your shield, guarding you through every battle. Now, God's voice is your banner, declaring your victory. This pause is where you raise that banner, claiming his promises for a future of purpose and power. Stay still and listen. The world may call stillness a weakness, but God calls it wisdom. Your pause is your strength, a moment to hear the one who holds your destiny. You're not just a person, you're a chosen one, called to walk a path that changes everything. You've walked through deserts where hope seemed scarce, but God's voice was your oasis. Now, he's saying, "Listen, because the rivers are coming." This pause is your preparation for a season of overflow, where his blessings flood your life.